welcome to Two Guys Talk Paranormal, where we delve into the unknown, the eerie, and the downright bizarre. I'm your host, Gareth.
And I'm Jamie.
Alright, this is our second episode. I'm going to be talking about lake monsters from around the world, mainly because in the first episode, if you heard it, you mentioned Nessie. So I then went looking to find out what other lake monsters there are around the world. I found loads.
This is going to be a bit of a deep dive into lake monsters.
Yeah, it is. It's quite interesting because some of them I didn't know. I haven't mentioned them all, but if people are interested, we can do another episode on lake monsters, or we can delve deeper into a particular one. This is just a brief outline, I suppose, of 5 I found. I wanted to find them in different areas, not just America, UK. I've tried to find some in other countries that you may not have heard of. So we're going to delve into the depths of world lakes, where legends and folklore intertwine with the possibility of the extraordinary. So from the murky waters of Loch Ness to the remote rivers of the Congo, stories of mysterious creatures lurking beneath the surface have captivated imaginations for centuries. You get to join us tonight as we talk about the famous monsters, from iconic Nessie to the elusive Ogopogo. How would you pronounce that? Okanagan Lake in British Columbia, Canada. And beyond. So fasten your seatbelts, grab your flashlight, and prepare to be immersed in the world of lake monsters. So let's begin. Two Guys Talking Paranormal. Alright, welcome if you are listening and you've got this far. So we're going to start with the nearest one to us.
Nessie.
This is Nessie. And probably one of the most famous ones, to be fair.
I would say the most famous one.
Yeah.
If you ask people about monsters in the lake, that's the one everyone in the entire world probably would be able to talk about.
Yeah. I wanted to start with this because the sea punter to inhabit the Loch Ness in Scotland is the second largest Scottish loch by surface area. But you made this fact on the first episode, which I thought was incredible. That due to the great depths, it's the largest by volume in the British Isles. Loch Ness holds 263 billion cubic feet of water, which is more than all the water in all the lakes, rivers, reservoirs in the whole of England and Wales
combined.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the second one. There's one bigger out there.
Yeah, Loch Lomond. I've been there. It's a beautiful place, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
But presumably looking out of it, you wouldn't realise it was holding that much water though, because you don't know how deep it's going to go down.
No, you don't know how deep it is, but it is long. It's a very long
it's long.
lake. Yeah.
Oh,
You sort of can't see really from one end to the other.
That's crazy. I was shocked at that. It's all the lakes and all the rivers in England and Wales. That's just blew my mind when I read that. Well, when you said it, I was like, wow.
After you actually looked it up, and it was...
I had to look it up. Yeah, I had to. Yeah, it's just like, wow. That's what made me then start reading about Nessie and stuff like that. But then I found out that we can start with the first recorded sighting of Nessie. Do you know when that was?
No, I didn't know. When was it?
565 AD.
So that's 1600 years ago or something.
Yeah, was apparently the first sighting of Nessie. So St. Columba is said to have encountered a water monster in the River Ness. The tale goes, so I got this from Scott Clan's website. The tale goes, returning to Iona from his mission in the Christianising the Picts, St. Columba approached one of the crossing points of the River Ness. There was a small settlement, and a group of people were digging a grave for a newly dead man. When Columba asked how the man had died, he was told he had been killed by a monster who lived in the loch. This interested the saint, but did not seem to worry him, for he let one of his monks, Lou Mockerman, swim across the Ness to fetch a boat which bobbed against the opposite bank. Celtic monks were a hardy breed, and Lugna cheerfully leaped into the water and began to swim to the boat. He was about halfway across when the monster reappeared. Columba, however, was equal to any monster. The blessed man raised his holy hand, Adamnan, his biographer wrote, while all the rest were stupefied with terror, and commanded the monster, saying, "Thou shalt go no further, nor touch the man. Go back with all speed." As extra insurance, the saint made the sign of the cross. That was enough for the monster, and it fled. So, what was that, 560 that was recorded? in the river. I had to have a look because I didn't realise there was a river that actually went into Loch Ness.
Well, you know, makes sense, I guess. Got to have like inlet or something.
Yeah.
Outlet.
Well, yeah, because it goes all the way out to sea, that river. But I'm guessing it can't be that wide. But yeah, so 565. Well, yeah, the first recorded monster. I'd like to know what it actually was back then. Obviously exaggerating and stuff like that, but the man actually jumped. The monks jumping, willing to swim across the lake, even though they've been told there's a monster in there to fetch a boat. She had some faith in them. So the next one I've got is the 1930s.
Oh right, so that's interesting. So there wasn't any other. You couldn't find any other sightings since between
No.
that time. So it was quiet for all those
Well,
years.
well, to be fair, 1930s was the next time where it was
It took off.
Nessie. Yeah, but there was like an explosion of sightings and everyone was interested. So there probably was the odd sighting in between, but nothing really sparked the interest like it did in the 30s. The 30s is when Nessie became famous, I guess. It was during this decade that the legend of Loch Ness Monster really took off. There were many reported sightings of a large mysterious creature in the waters of Loch Ness. One of the most famous sightings occurred in 1934 when a photo was taken of the creature with a long neck, small head emerging from the water. This photo is known as the surgeon's photo, which is the most famous photo.
Yeah,
that's the one that everyone's seen. The blurry black and white. Some people say it's a log sticking out of the water, I think, now. Stuff like that, but yeah, it's the most famous picture. So that's a surgeon. So he was a surgeon. So that sort of was the one that sparked everyone. So while many of the sightings from the 30s have been debunked or explained or misidentifications, a lot of sturgeons has been a lot one as well.
Okay.
Swimming in the loch, so it looks big. And
So quite a big fish, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Well, one of the famous cryptids, yeah. So the legend of Nessie lives. She remains one of the most famous and enduring cryptids in the world. So recently, renewed interest during COVID, the pandemic, and the availability of live cameras being blocked. We talked about this in the first one that they've got. So loads of people are watching the lake.
Yep. So you can sit in the comfort of your home and just watch the live footage.
So while we were all stuck at home with COVID, not being allowed to leave, people started watching the lake and started having sightings. Yeah, there have been a few interesting sightings. I think it's died down a bit now. So the Northern Times reported a Canadian visitor reported seeing Nessie on the official Loch Ness Monster sighting register in April this year.
Okay.
So he recorded it on the actual register that he saw Nessie. I don't know what the actual report was because I couldn't find it. Just that he had reported. I guess you can go onto the register and find all these.
Is that online? Is it?
That's online.
Okay,
yeah.
So we might have to have a look.
And then in October 2024, so a couple of months ago from this recording, the Deep Scan cruise ship that goes across the lake, which uses radar technology to explore the depths, reported a monstrous disturbance on the lake.
On their radar?
On their radar, yeah.
Okay.
So, but you can pay and go out on that boat. I think it takes people out as well, but it has a radar that's constant. It goes.
That'd be a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go to Scotland next year, so maybe if we're up that way, we'll have a look.
Yeah.
Make a little video about that.
Yeah. Since then, there have been hundreds of reported sightings of Nessie, but no definitive proof of her existence has ever been found. And what was it last week in the news? What made us first talk about this? The last episode we did was someone decided that it was waves. That Nessie was waves now. That was a scientific conclusion.
It could be lots of things, isn't it? Like you said, I could easily see like a bit of debris in the right angle and light and could look like someone else.
Well, the size of that lake, I'm guessing like a tree could fall in the lake and be bobbing around floating. And
100%. Yeah.
Size, but it's when it's underwater. There's
the radar.
Yeah,
I don't know. Shoaler fish, maybe.
Yeah. Well, you'd think they'd know what that was, though, wouldn't you? So
You'd think if a lake of that, even though it's a big lake, if you were trawling up and down it in a boat equipped with radar, eventually you'd find if something was in there.
Well, yeah.
What is it they actually think it is? Like a plesiosaur type thing, like a dinosaur.
Yeah, that's what all the pictures saw. The long neck, little head.
Yeah, like some sort of what do they think? There's like some sort of family of them left over from whenever that lake filled up in the Ice Age or whatever it was.
Well, yeah, but it has to be a family. It has to keep reproducing.
Yeah,
you can't go from 565 AD to now
with one really old. Yeah.
Yeah. So even back from 1935 to now, I know that's probably that's 80 years.
90 years.
90 years. Elephants live for that age, don't they?
Yeah, I know there's certain turtles can live up to 200 years, so it could live that long.
Yeah. But yeah,
We must be breeding and feeding on something as well.
But see, that's the thing. Some people say there's caves underneath the lake that we haven't been able to find, so there's ways in and out. So it could be that it's going out to sea and just coming in certain times of the year, maybe. Is it coming back into? Is this like its breeding pool?
Yeah.
And then going back out once it's laid its eggs, and then a male comes in and sprays its sperm over it. And then, like fish, you know, they lay their eggs, don't they? And then they get fertilised by the male. But then you'd have loads of them. You'd think there'd be loads of them when they're all hatch. Unless it's not a male to...
I do feel this one's probably more of a myth.
I think it is, and I think it'd be go on and go on.
Yeah, it's got
565. I don't know what that was.
It's got its own tourism industry now, and that really is what that lake's famous for, is Nessie.
I think it's a myth that's just going to keep growing with every generation.
Yeah, I know you say about the old story, but there's plenty of mythological stories like that from monks in the medieval fighting monsters and dragons and that sort of thing, isn't there?
Well, what better way to convert people into your religion when you say you defeated a monster?
Using Christianity.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
would make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So.
And like you say, the likelihood that something like that could go undetected in a small place like that, probably not going to happen, is it?
No.
I think even, mind you, they only found out about deep sea squid in the 20th century. They were actually, I don't know if you know that. Deep sea squid, like giant squid, were thought to be a myth for hundreds of years. Sailors were report sighting them, but eventually in the 20th century, when they started getting proper submersibles, they found them.
Yeah, they're real.
Sometimes it's the other way around. It turns out they are real. These creatures were based on something that people found.
Yeah. Right, so should we head over to Canada then?
Yeah.
And to Lake
Ogopogo.
Yeah, the Ogopogo. So this is described as a large serpent creature with a long neck and a small head. Sounds exactly like Nessie.
Yeah.
And it's probably just as famous as Nessie over there. So yeah, there's been sightings of Ogopogo over the years, but no definitive proof. Sure, I've got a feeling if you look up the town, he's on the near the lake. He's on the lake poster.
When did you hear about that one? Because we couldn't really find many stories about this, could we?
I don't know. I've heard a podcast about him. I'm sure another podcast talked about him in more detail. So there must be stories about him. But I've read he is like a mascot to that town.
A bit like Nessie is as well.
Yeah, so he is British Columbia's version, because I think there's other lake monsters in Canada.
Yeah, but he's pretty much like say Nessie's cousin.
Yeah, he's identical in description, sightings, and probably as in real life as Nessie is. So there's a little bit there about him, but not much. I'm sure if you wanted to hear more about him, we can do more research and actually find him. But I think when I was coming up with ones to speak about, I was trying to find ones we hadn't possibly heard about.
Yeah, I'd not heard that till you'd mentioned him.
So yeah, we're going to go to Turkey, and we're going to go to Lake Van, where Van Gölü Canavan is a legendary lake monster. He's described as having a long neck, 2 humps protruding from the water. The first story about the monster was published in an Ottoman newspaper in 1889. But I don't seem to know, couldn't find that one. But that's when it was first published in 1989. 1889. But I got one in a Turkish man in 1992 claimed to have made a video of the creature. The video was met with much scepticism as the monster only seemed to move in a straight line, never in circles.
As if it was being dragged on a wire or something.
Yeah. So.
Bit of fishing line maybe.
But he's also thought to be a plesiosaurus.
It seems a really common theme.
Yeah. So a type of prehistoric marine reptile. There's been other sightings of Van Gölü Canavan. I don't even know if I'm saying it, Canavan.
Yeah, sounds right to me.
Over the years, but none have been definitively confirmed. Some of the more notable sightings include a group of fishermen have seen a large dark creature with a long neck and 2 humps swimming in the lake. In 2003, a Turkish man claimed to have photographed the creature while fishing on the lake. But could I find the picture? No. 2010, a team of divers claimed to have found evidence of a large unknown creature living in the depths of the lake. I don't know what evidence they found to prove that. But it obviously wasn't I don't know how, what would it... Maybe some bones, teeth?
Possibly, yeah.
I don't know. Others believe that the monster is a hoax and that the stories are based on sightings of large fish or other animals. Which is kind of what Nessie, they think, could be a big fish.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you...
Otters, I actually read about Nessie once. It could be not otters, but seals that have come in.
You do get seals come to UK shores as well, yeah.
Yeah, so...
I mean, that is a likely thing. They probably misidentifying other creatures as well.
Yeah, because you think someone moving fast in the water and seals come up, go down, come up, you might think that's multiple humps.
Yeah, if you were looking at it from a distance, like a serpent-like creature, because
they're quite thin, aren't they? Really, they're long.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, like you said, there are multiple. I can even see dolphins.
We get them in the harbour here, 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, that's it.
So you just see one of their heads pop out and then drop back down again, and you're not really paying much attention, but you're looking for a lake monster. What are you going to think?
That's the other thing you sort of think with these things. Where if you're sort of going to a place and you know it's famous for these creatures, you're almost looking for it, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you might see things which aren't, you might misinterpret things.
Yeah.
So what other ones we found out about?
Right. So let's go to Norway. To more probably bad pronunciations. Lake Seljord.
That'll do.
Yeah. Home of Selma. At least the monster's got a good name. Similar to Ogopogo and Nessie, Selma is a popular figure in folklore and has been featured in many books, movies, and TV series. Or maybe it was Selma I was thinking of with the TV, but I'm sure Ogopogo's on a big sign as you get near the lake.
Oh yeah, I could see him as a mascot on the local.
Well, Nessie's a mascot, anyway, but you can buy stuffed toys. So of him anywhere, so I'm sure it's exactly the same. So in 1967, more fishermen claimed to have seen a large dark creature with a long neck and 2 humps swimming in Lake Seljord, which is exactly the same as what they said in Lake Van, a long neck monster with humps.
Again, it's this serpentine theme.
Yeah. So hold on, when was the one in Van Gogh? That was 92. This is 1967. Oh no, that was 1889 with the 2 humps, I think.
Yeah, no, it was mentioned again as well. So I think in 2010, no, not 2010, sorry. It was in 95, the group of fishermen claimed to have seen a large dark creature with a long neck and 2 humps in Lake Van.
Yeah, well, they're very similar. All of them. So in 1975, a man named Arne Hugen claimed to have photographed Selma while fishing.
And again,
that's weird because in 1975 he photographed the lake while fishing. In 2003, a Turkish man claimed to photograph while fishing.
Yeah.
So it's so similar, but yeah, so many years apart. It's like they've read this one and like, we can do the same here.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's like they're exactly the same story, just in a different country.
Yeah.
Because you got the next bit. In 2008, a group of divers claimed to again, like they did in Turkey, find evidence of a
2 years later.
Large unknown creature living in the depths of the lake.
I wonder if that's me doing an error of typing up with the group of divers. That seems too familiar, but the year's different.
No, I can see exactly the same thing. So.
Yeah, I don't know. That's bizarre. So Selma, someone in Turkey just read the Selma reports and copied them. Wow. Okay, well let's go to Sweden then and see another serpent body, long-necked monster that lives in Storsjön.
Storsjön.
Yeah. I don't know how you pronounce the O's with a little...
So again, he's in Sweden's largest lake. And again, it's another creature with a long neck and a serpentine body.
Yeah. So they all have this same thing, don't they, these lake monsters? That is pretty much a lake monster. Long neck. There's no other... and small head. Well, there's some of them got humps, but if it's a long, thin body, then I guess... Because even Nessie's been photographed with... or is drawn... with the humps.
Yeah, because like I was saying earlier, like if you're a snake-like creature, like a sea serpent, which is a really common mythological sea creature, if you're swimming through the water, your body is going to be making that sort of wave shape.
Yeah, so that's what they're describing, aren't they? And then it goes
when
up.
When they say humps,
up.
That's what it's like.
Yeah.
So I think more like a serpent. So that's how I would imagine something like Nessie. I see it more as a serpent rather than a plesiosaur's got a great big...
It's got a big body, but then there was a photo once of its arm. Someone had a picture, so it wasn't Nessie's neck. It's Flipper, which looked like a Plesiosaurus or whatever.
Right.
It had a similar... But that could have just been something, a bit of wood again. There was no actual evidence, I think. So
there's loads of these creatures from all around, because we've been looking at things. We've got Champ in New York.
Yeah.
So in Lake Chamberlain, which is near Vermont and New York, it's another monster described as having a long neck and a humped back. Then we move to Lake Baikal in Russia. And again, it's a long creature with a serpentine body.
Yeah. And
there's even another one we found about in Lake Tianchi in China, which is again described as having a long neck and a serpentine body.
Yeah, and the list goes on and on. This is like, I got to like 10, and we could have, but all the sightings are similar. I'm trying to find the video footage is really hard.
Yeah, well, imagine if it's really old, it's probably not been uploaded to the internet. It's quite, is anyone going to bother to upload an old Swedish video of what could be a sea monster?
Yeah.
Probably not going to do it.
No.
But no, it's interesting that it's all sort of, because, you think throughout history, there's been so many stories like Moby Dick fighting the whale. It's a really like common story, isn't it, about somebody fighting or seeing like a large sea monster. And there was always these. I think even on earlier maps.
But there's pictures of them.
Yeah, in early maps before the world was fully explored, they used to put sea monsters on the edge and say, "Here be monsters," but they haven't explored yet. So it's a really common theme.
But then, what made them come into the lakes then? Because that's sea. These are lakes. So what brought the creature from the sea to the lake with the stories?
So what I've heard it described as is like in the past, where the sea level was higher.
Yeah.
They've swam in there, and as the seawater levels have gone down, they've sort of been trapped. They're left over in it. They're not used to that. Always begs the question, like they must be breeding and eating things.
Well, because most of these are hundreds of years old. Well, one of them was 1889, 85.
19th century.
So that's over 100 years. So are these creatures living, like you said, like turtles can live for 200 years?
Yeah, possibly. Or like you were saying earlier, are they only coming into the lake at certain times, and a lot of lakes will be connected to the sea through rivers and things, and they sort of leave them through that.
Yeah. I'm guessing sea creatures can't hibernate like bears do. I mean, they just disappear.
I don't know if they can or not.
I don't know. I don't know enough. But
that's how I sort of think of these things. These are more myths rather.
They're myths, yeah. They're just legend told to legends, passed on, I guess, stories.
So I think the one we've seen with the most evidence is Nessie, isn't it?
Nessie, yeah.
Yeah, because like we were saying earlier, everyone's seen that famous picture.
Yeah.
But they're not like other cryptids like Bigfoot. There's tons of evidence for Bigfoot, isn't there?
Yeah, but then Bigfoot, there's a Bigfoot in every continent as well. Like there is a lake monster, there's a Bigfoot, and it's called something slightly different.
Yeah, what's the snow one called?
The abominable snow, Yeti.
Yeah, Yeti.
You got Yeti.
That's in the Himalayas.
Yeah, there's one in Russia that's got a name. Weirdly, in the podcast that we'll do after this one, it's set in Asia. There's a Bigfoot in Asia.
Yeah,
and he's called something else. He's called a bit like Orang Pendek, if you know who that is. Man of the forest. So it's sort of like
isn't that what the word orangutan means?
Man of the forest. Yeah. So Orang Pendek is similar to an orangutan but walks, but it's not at all like a Bigfoot. But there is another Bigfoot which ends in Pendek, and there's something else Pendek. So Pendek means forest, I think, or man.
So yeah, it does seem to be like it's a really common story in human culture about these mysterious creatures left behind in places, or like hiding in the wilderness. I suppose it's less common these days because we've developed so much of the world. Not much wilderness left to hide.
I saw photos the other day of a tribe that was only found in the 90s.
Yeah,
and he made contact
deep in the Amazon or something.
I saw a photo of it. I was looking at some photographer's work, and he had photos of these tribes. And there's a few of the people, and he said we actually didn't make contact. So there was that one that people got attacked. Did you see the video footage? They turned up in a boat and the tribe actually attacked them.
Yeah,
and they were firing arrows at the boat. But this is a different tribe that's actually had contact with people who've actually spoke to them, gone there and photographed and stuff like that. And now we've probably ruined their lives.
Yeah.
But they were untouched for hundreds of years. So could there be something living in these places that we like Bigfoot that we haven't come across yet?
Because you can never rule it out, could you? Well, no, like I say with the deep sea squid, nobody believed they were real until we finally found them years later with better technology.
Well, if you look at the Pacific Northwest, is it with the forest up there? That forest land, people haven't even ventured far enough into that. Alaska is just barren in most places. You wouldn't want to try and explore it.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of the Amazon's unexplored still as well.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure we'll find creatures, stuff out there still. What's the Australian one? The Yowie.
Yeah, out in the outback.
And that goes back to, I guess, the Aborigines, the original people there, telling stories of it and stuff. But I think I read a story about a dinosaur still roaming in the outback as well.
Yeah.
So legends are always going to be passed on, I guess. But then there'll be people like us doing podcasts in 30 years still talking about Nessie.
Oh yeah, it's never going to go away. It's one of those. But I think a lot of people associate with. A lot of people from abroad probably associate with Scotland as a whole.
Oh yeah, what's Scotland famous for? Whiskey and Nessie.
And tartan.
Yeah, and tartan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Nessie's always got a tartan hat on.
That's it, yeah, and probably smoking a pipe. I think I saw on the cartoon of it as well. But yeah, that's why I see on these. I think rather than being a real phenomenon, I think these are more a myth.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever find anything.
As cool as that would be.
I'd love it if we not found Nessie, but even if we just found a skull at the bottom of the lake to say it was there at one point.
Yeah.
So maybe 100 years ago someone did see it and it was Nessie, but now it's just
Gone.
Because we've not even found bones of it, have we?
No.
I don't even think they found Plesiosaurus bones in Loch Ness or around there. What dinosaur bones have been found around there? To say that they were even up there at all?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I assume they were all over the place.
Well, yeah. Well, it's a sea creature, isn't it? I think it was a sea creature rather than a lake creature. So was it even live? Why did they think it was, like you said, there was water dropped and it got stuck? But then it's also got, what's it eating? What's it living on?
Well, it must be like fish and things in there.
Why do you think there was a lot in Loch Ness? Was there?
I assume any body of water's got fish.
Oh,
I know some of the small lakes in the top of the Lake District, the tarns, they've got fish living.
Enough to feed a monster, though.
If it's big enough, I don't see why not.
Well, I suppose how much water is in there. I guess they've got. Well, if they think it's sturgeon, and sturgeon's a big fish, it's going to be eating them.
Yeah, as long as it's not overeating them. If there's only a few of them in there, it's possible.
I remember reading a story about Lake Windermere having a lake monster very similar to Nessie. And people swimming in there said they felt it brush against their legs and stuff, but a lot of people think that's big eels.
Yeah.
So, though it's still a monster, it's not. It's just a monstrous size eel. It's not.
Well, eels can be quite big, can't they?
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
So you could easily see something like that if you saw an eel at the right angle and location. Yeah, why you might mistake that for a serpent.
Because one of them just brushed up against you while you were swimming. Because Lake Windermere, I don't think, like compared to.
No, it's quite small.
It's quite small.
None of the lakes.
So they're not saying it's like a Nessie creature that lives there, but they're saying there is a lake monster in there.
Interested if there's any for Loch Ness in Northern Ireland, because that's massive.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. I don't know, you probably didn't come across them. Now maybe one of our listeners can tell us about if they know any stories from Loch Ness in Northern Ireland.
Yeah. I didn't find anything in Ireland, to be fair. But there is, I know there is. Obviously got their own stories of creatures and cryptids and stuff like Scotland does that we don't have down here. One of Scotland's animal logo is the unicorn.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
cool logo to have.
Yeah, unicorn. Oh, Wales went for dragon.
We got the lion.
Got the lion, yeah. So we say thank you for listening to this one then, and joining us for our second podcast.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, if you did, subscribe, like, share. Liking and sharing is a big thing. If you can like and share it, then more people can find it, and then we can bring you more contacts. Context? No. Content. Yeah, that's the word. And if you just want to hear me mess up words.
Or horribly mispronounce foreign names.
Yeah. Insult half the name.
Half the world.
Yeah. I'm really crap at pronouncing stuff. If Jamie wasn't here, then none of these would make any sense. I'll get Google app up, but they can actually tell us how to pronounce them for us.
Google Translate.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
How do you say this word? But yeah, join us next week or in a few weeks' time. I think it's every 2 weeks we're going to try and release a podcast. So 2 weeks from now we'll do another one, and I'm bound to mess up some words in there because I think we're going to Asia. So, but yeah, like, subscribe, share, comment. Yeah, tell us what would improve. What would make it better for you? What would make it better for me? Being able to pronounce words. Tell us what you want to hear as well. Not see. Hear. What do you want to hear in this podcast?
If there's any unusual things you know about, which maybe not many people would know about from the far-flung corners of the globe, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. And if anyone wants to be a guest and share a story or an encounter or an experience with us, then leave us a message or contact us somehow. Because that would be quite interesting. I'd like to hear first person's accounts.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, that's something we could do in the interview somebody.
Yeah, share their stories. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, all of that. Find us on we should be available on all podcasts where you get your podcasts from. All platforms, not just you. We're on YouTube, on our channel there. We're on Deezer.
Are we on Spotify yet?
We're on Spotify.
Cool.
We're oddly not on the one that I use. I use Castbox, and we're not on there for some reason. But yeah, we're on quite a few. So you should be able to find us. If not, YouTube. You're on you're probably on wherever you're listening to it. If you go to our YouTube channel, can you tag it in where you're listening to it so we know?
Yeah, we'll target it. And see you next time. Yeah. I've been Jamie.
I've been Gareth. Take care. Stay spooky.